In today's video, I'll be discussing the 10 most common Roth IRA mistakes. First of all, why contribute to a Roth IRA? The biggest reason is because you think your tax bracket down the road is likely to be higher than it is today. And let's face it, with $37 trillion of debt and over $200 trillion of unfunded obligations for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, it's hard to see how the U.S. government won't have to raise taxes down the road to keep the lights on. By contributing to a Roth, you pay tax at today's historically low tax rates, so you can avoid having to pay them at higher rates somewhere down the road. Okay, now that we've laid a good philosophical foundation for why a Roth IRA makes sense, let's get into the 10 most common mistakes I see investors make. Mistake number 1, not contributing enough. If you don't contribute as much as you can to your Roth IRA each and every year, not only do you miss out on that contribution, but you lose what that contribution could have earned for you over the rest of your life. Now, in order to make the maximum contribution to your Roth IRA, you have to know what that maximum contribution is. I speak on tax-free retirement all across the country, and I routinely ask rooms full of people what they believe the contribution limits on the Roth are, and I get answers that are all over the board. For some reason, people really have a hard time keeping up with these limits. So what are the limits? If you're younger than 50, you can contribute up to $7,000. And if you're over age 50, you can contribute $8,000. Mistake number 2, skipping a year. The only thing worse than not contributing enough to your Roth IRA in a given year is skipping a year altogether. The reason this is so catastrophic is because once tax day passes, typically around April 15th of the following year, you can't go back and make that contribution. Once that window shuts, it stays shut forever. Here's an example of why this can be so costly. Let's say you and your spouse are both age 30 and you each missed making your $7,000 contribution for the year. Let's also say you could have grown that money at 10% per year between now and age 65. That $14,000 would have grown to $393,428 over those 35 years. So when you miss making an annual Roth contribution, there's a huge opportunity cost that results. Mistake number 3, over-contributing. If you're not familiar with the Roth IRA contribution limits and you over-contribute, you'll have to pay a penalty. That penalty is 6% on the excess amount each year it remains in the account. For example, if you over-contribute $1,000, you'll owe $60 in penalties each year until it's fixed. By the way, that penalty repeats annually until you withdraw the excess or recharacterize it properly. Mistake number 4. Earning too much or too little. The IRS has income limitations when it comes to Roth IRA contributions. Once you hit $236,000 of modified adjusted gross income, your allowable contribution begins to drop. By the time you hit $246,000 of modified adjusted gross income, you get phased out of contributions altogether. The other mistake has to do with not making enough money to contribute to a Roth IRA. You have to have at least enough earned income as your contribution. For example, if you have $10,000 of earned income, you could contribute the full $7,000 to your Roth IRA. However, if you only have $5,000 of earned income, you could only contribute $5,000 to your Roth IRA. If you don't respect these income limits, you will once again pay a 6% penalty on the over-contribution until you withdraw the excess or recharacterize it properly. Mistake number 5, taking earnings out too soon. Remember, you can always take your contributions out of your Roth IRA whenever you want. However, the earnings is a totally different story. There is a 2-prong rule that dictates when you can touch your earnings tax and penalty free. You have to wait until 59.5 and 5 years have to have passed since your first Roth IRA contribution or conversion. Mistake number 6, using Roth IRAs for short-term savings. Now, while you can take your principal out of your Roth IRA whenever you like, you should be slow to do so. Remember, if you don't pay it back, not only do you lose that money, but you lose what it could have earned for you between now and when you retire. By the way, if you do withdraw your principal, you have 60 days to put it back. However, when you do put it back, it's counted as a rollover, and you can only do one rollover per 12-month period across all your IRAs. If you miss that 60-day window for paying that money back, then it becomes a permanent withdrawal. Mistake number 7, neglecting spousal contributions. Some people think that if a spouse doesn't have earned income, they can't make contributions to their Roth IRA. This couldn't be further from the truth. Let's say that you work and your spouse stays at home with the kids and has no earned income. If you, as the exclusive breadwinner, have at least $14,000 of earned income, both you and your spouse could contribute $7,000 each to your Roth IRAs. Mistake number 8, investing too conservatively. When it comes to Roth IRAs, you should generally be allocating 100% of these dollars to an aggressive stock allocation. Why? The answer is pretty simple. Roth IRAs are your most tax-efficient investments, and they'll remain tax-free right up until your death and even 10 years beyond. You want the biggest returns in your portfolio to take place in a tax-free environment. You want to keep 100% of those huge returns. Let me see if I can put this in a different way. Would you rather keep 100% of a 12% return or 100% of a 5% return? Mistake number 9. Not considering a Roth conversion. We're currently at historically low tax rates, and experts are predicting that tax rates beyond 2033 are likely to skyrocket due to the exploding national debt and our nation's massive unfunded obligations for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So the next 9 years are a prime opportunity to take advantage of taxes while they're on sale to do a Roth conversion. And every year that goes by where you fail to take advantage of a Roth conversion is potentially a year beyond 2033 when you could be forced to pay some of the highest tax rates you're likely to see in your lifetime. Mistake number 10. Ignoring a backdoor Roth contribution. If you make too much money to contribute to a Roth IRA, you can do what's called a backdoor Roth contribution. You do this by making an after-tax contribution to your IRA and then immediately converting it to a Roth IRA. It ends up in the same place, it just takes one extra step. Just remember that if you have pre-tax money in other tax-deferred accounts like SEPs, Simples, or IRAs, the IRS may make part of your conversion taxable. Okay, so those are the 10 most common mistakes I see investors making when it comes to Roth IRAs. I'm David McKnight. Thanks for watching.